This is 2 copies of the newest 501st Battle Pack, and today we have my round 2 entry for our 501st alternate build competition. This competition is between me and a few other builders in the community where we have 4 rounds. Each round we're using an increasing number of 501st Battle Packs. Round 1 using only 1 and then increasing from there. Before we dive into round 2, a quick congratulations to LEGO Men 360 for winning round 1 with that microscale V-Wing. I thought my little AAT might be able to shoot it out of the sky, but it got me from above. A very good microscale build deserving of the top spot. Now we have round 2, and the prompt we chose for this round was speeder. We had to use 2 of these sets to create the best speeder bike that we could. And I'm really happy with the final result of my build, so without further ado, I'm very happy to present to you guys the I.E.S. Attack Speeder. This is a quick but well-armed single-seater speeder that's meant to specialize in infill and exfiltration, and that's actually where it gets its name. Infil, Exfil, Support Speeder. We'll talk about the lore that I thought up around this speeder bike towards the end of the video. For now, let's take a closer look at this bike starting up front. Up front, we have this angled, heavily armored nose, and I don't know about any of you guys, but to me, it kind of looks like some animal here. The black grill piece in between these 2 angled plates almost looks like an eyeball between some reptile scales. I can't put my finger on what it is, but I do think it looks really cool. The front nose is actually made up of 2 sections. We have this top section that angles down, and then this bottom section that's used to fill up the empty space and used as a little bit of engine greebling on the front here. And then moving into the body from the nose, you can see I used a clip with a tile right here just to fill out some of that empty space and give it a little bit of extra greebling where it otherwise wouldn't have had it. But then moving into the body on the sides, I used those large bracket pieces so I could face some studs on the side and get some details in there. And then up top, I smoothed it out with plenty of tile pieces. And then if I quickly fold down this side bit, you can see I actually built the entire body on those spring-loaded shooters. I knew I wasn't going to use those pieces as actual spring-loaded shooters, so I decided to repurpose them for some structural integrity. And then just behind all this tile work and the side detailing, we have the main seat for the pilot. And now that I'm thinking about it, are speeder bike pilots called pilots, or are they called drivers, or something else? I know this isn't a cockpit, because it's not closed in. I don't know what a definition of a cockpit is. But are speeder bike drivers pilots or drivers? I'm getting off track, but this is where the driver pilot's going to be sitting regardless. Getting your minifigure in place is very straightforward and easy. Simply just place him down on the studs and lean him back to whatever angle you'd like, and now your driver pilot is good to go. And even though he just got comfy, I'm going to go ahead and take him out of there so we can get a better look at what's around him and behind him. So of course the main thing that we're all looking at that's sitting behind the pilot is his headrest that I built. I actually used 2 of these inverted slope pieces and then a red tile on the bottom there to give it a nice clean look, and he has a nice solid spot to lean his head against. Obviously, I'm only joking. Of course, the thing we all want to talk about is these 4 massive cannons that are sitting right behind the pilot. So the reason this speeder bike actually has 4 blasters towards the rear is so you can load a variety of different rounds to suit a variety of different purposes. Remember that this speeder specializes in infill and exfiltration, so it needs to get in and out very quickly. So my thought process was you can load a variety of different rounds into these blasters up here. Maybe you can load smoke rounds to cover your retreat or your entry. Or you can load in some explosive rounds so when this speeder begins its infiltration, it can blow open any fortifications and get inside the enemy base. And then of course, if you just want to go full firepower, they can be standard blasters as well. So on top of the 2 blasters you have on either side, you now have 4 smaller blasters right on top. But just around these blasters, I tried to fill out the empty space as best as I could. Of course, going down the middle, we have the ever important headrest. And to attach these rear cannons, they're actually just slotted into a binocular piece underneath one of these slope bricks on the backside. A very simple but very effective clean connection that I think looks really clean with 2 blasters on either side. And speaking of either side, let's go over these side engine pods. So of course we mentioned that you have 1 long blaster on the sides here, and those are attached to these large engine pods that are clipped onto either side of the speeder. On the front side of the engine I used a grill piece to represent some sort of air intake, and then in the middle there we have some dark red Republic red leading into the backside of the engines, and this is where the actual thrust is generated that propels this speeder. I really like these little assemblies using these Technic connectors and then these studs with the pinholes with the bar going in between them. And the yellow studs in the middle are actually meant to represent the thrust that the speeder's generating. So this battle pack doesn't really come with many pieces that would represent engine thrust, so I decided to use these yellow studs with the pinholes to represent all my thrust. So based on that, you might be thinking that these yellow studs in the middle are another engine, and you'd actually be correct. This speeder bike has the 2 side engine pods and then a small secondary engine right in the middle there. And I think all that comes together really well on the backside. A little bit of dark red Republic red, but then you have your engine thrust on all the engine ports. But other than the 2 side engine pods and the many cannons up top, that pretty much covers the entire I.E.S. speeder. But we're not done there, because I actually made a small side build for this speeder. This is the small side build that I'm calling the 501st Defensive Position. And this little defensive position actually has some really neat little features worked into it despite being a small side build with leftover pieces. So up front, right down the middle, we have a large defensive cannon to keep any attackers at bay. And then on either side here, we have the 2 sections to the defensive wall. Flipping around the wall though, we can get a better look at the inside on what the 501st troopers are going to be seeing. Right down the middle, we of course have that main cannon, and then this little Technic piece is meant to represent the controls for that cannon. And then on either side, whenever the troopers aren't in combat, they can dock 2 blasters. So now, on top of having a speeder bike to go out and do missions on, they have a small defensive position to hunker down at as well. And with that, that pretty much covers the entire alternate build. There is a few more leftover pieces, and I tried to make something out of them, but it really just ended up being this tube of leftover pieces, I guess. So this isn't actually part of the build, this is just me using up the leftover pieces to use them up. The only things actually featured in round 2 will be the I.E.S. speeder and the defensive position. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video over the I.E.S. speeder and this small little defensive position that I made. I was going to go into the lore behind these things, but I feel like this video is already going to be a little bit too long, so I'll just leave the lore behind it in the description. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this build. If you want to get your own I.E.S. speeder and 501st defensive position, you can head on over to my Patreon page to get PDF building instructions right now. And then in a little under 2 weeks, I'll have the video version posted on YouTube. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this alternate build in the comments down below. And as well, if you have any ideas for any alternate builds or mods that you guys would like me to do in the future, leave those down below as well. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace, fellas.